Hello fellow civil engineers and welcome to the training desk of New Way Designs. I'm Will and you know the deal. I'm here to give you that express ticket to practical Civil 3D knowledge. As civil engineers, we're usually using the survey information as a grayed out background in our construction drawing set. When you first get the file from the surveyor, it's unlikely that it's going to plot as you want it to. As a matter of fact, it could end up looking really messy. Maybe like a bag of wet Skittles was dumped out across your page. It's probably going to look more like this and not so much like this, which is what you want it to look like. Today, I'm going to walk you through the process that I follow to go from option A to option B. Let's flip over to the CAD screen and get started. Okay, we're here in CAD land now. Let's take a look at our folder. We've already saved the survey in here, the one to be cleaned up. We always want to have an unadulterated copy of this, and that's going to be this one in this case. So we're going to copy it, drop it right here beside it for convenience, for the lesson purposes, and we'll hit open. When we get in here, we'll just take a look at our surroundings and go ahead and get familiar with the work we're going to have to do. We've got blocks in here. Actually, that's a Cogo point. We've got polyline. In case you're wondering how I tell what these are, I look over here in the properties bar. It tells me what that is. If your properties bar isn't up, you can bring it in by typing props or using the button on the home tab to open it. Let's see, polylines, cool, easy to deal with. Cogo points. These Cogo points have blocks built in with them. Cool, pretty interesting surveyor. Also got a tin surface here. Let's take a look at that and see how real it is. Look at that. We can see edge of pavement, ditch lines. Definitely got their brake lines added in here. Or at least the important ones. Flow lines, edge of pavement lines, cool tie-out points. Really good surveyor here. Let's make sure nothing's hidden. I'm going to type in a series of commands. LAYON, LAYTHW, and unisolate. You can also use the buttons for those commands over here. Here we are, thaw, on. I like to type them in. It's quicker for me. I've got them memorized, so why not? For the surface here, we're going to let that be and we'll pull it back in from the original unadulterated file. And most everything else here we're going to follow a cleanup process on and get them converted to our template. Let's take a look at our layers. Go to the layer properties here. Just going to quickly look and see if they have similar names to ours. Because if they are using a system based on the national CAD standards, they may have very similar named layers where it can get kind of confusing converting between the two. And when that happens, what I'll do is I select all of their layers and I hit the color over here. And I go choose one of these random easy to see colors that I know is not in my template. No need for that because they're using VX- or VX as the starter, and ours are all V-. So they do have some bit of the influence here, perhaps, but also a mix with this X in here. Interesting. Notice over here, plot style table. This is a CTB, which is color dependent plot style. That's much why this looks like Skittles when we hit PRE or go to the prep preview. I would show you guys how to convert from CTB to STB and vice versa in this one, but this work method avoids that little command, which can be a little bit tedious and confusing, especially when you're going from named plot styles to color. Or actually from color to named. It's a little harder in that direction than vice versa. But now that we have checked, got everything turned on, everything unhidden, taken note of what's going on in the drawing, let's bring our template in here by going to the Manage tab up here, hitting Reference, And then we'll add. We're going to add the NCS existing STB. I've got a fresher one in my Dropbox over here, so we'll actually grab it from here. NCS existing STB, that's for National CAD Standards, existing STB. Open. Now all these layers, they're checked, the settings, all of that. As soon as we hit apply, they land in this drawing. Cool deal. Okay, now if we bring that layer tree back up, you'll see all these V layers. Those are R layers. And I'm going to make this a methodical change. I select all of our layers, I clicked on the bottom one, hold shift and click the top here. And then I'm going to hit freeze. That way, as we move objects off of their layers and onto ours, they disappear from view. It's just like having a checklist. We'll make this the current layer. And let's get started. I'll use a few for example here, and then we'll just speed up the rest of it because it's going to get monotonous until we get to a different part. But converting lines, polylines, arcs, text, things like that, simple. We'll pause on blocks and Cogo points. First up, let's select similar on these VXEP. That is the existing edge of pavement, which in ours is V-PVMT edge. Boom. Here's the warning you get. One or more objects has been moved to a frozen or turned off layer. Good. That's where we want it to go. Let's grab this veg line, select similar, move that out the way. V-veg. Cool. I see a text here. Grab it, select similar, V-veg text. Let's grab this adjacent property, V-prop line, adjacent. Cool. Let's get the subject property line, select similar, V-prop line. Cool. We'll speed it up now. You get the point. Yeah, and here I'm slowing down because one thing I want you to realize is that as I move these things, when I do the select similar, I'm going to the properties bar over here. I hit the drop down, and then once you have your layers memorized, if you're very precise, you can type the name in exactly as it is, and you'll get there very quickly. Or if you know the first two modifiers, which is easier to learn, like this is V-util, and we can then scoot to electric. And then there's electric overhead. That's what this is. Cool. Back to the speed. Over here we have a few miscellaneous objects. There is a block reference among it though over here. What I want to do is right click and enter into the block editor while I have it selected. Make sure everything within it's on 0 and that there are no blocks inside of it. If you have a nested block, you'll have to re-enter the block editor and check that one as well. But everything on here is on 0, which is the way I want it. If you put everything inside of a block on the layer 0, it will uphold the layer properties of the layer that you move it to. Very convenient. I almost always make everything within blocks go on layer 0. For general blocks anyway. Let's take these pieces. We don't want them to plot. We're just going to move them to our V survey mesh layer, which does not print. Most everything else on here is either a Cogo point or a block. So let's check our blocks first here. Block editor, go into this one as the example. 7 lines in here, all on layer 0. How do we get this little piece? Ah, because it's a 3D polyline. What we're going to do, select similar on those, minus this piece over here. These are all storm structures. And then we're going to move them to the storm struck. This is a storm structure as well, but it is a Cogo point. And we're going to have to find out the block that is nested within the Cogo point so we can edit it to make sure everything is on layer 0 in there. Going to do the same thing for all of these. So we got this guy wire symbol, this power pole symbol, valves, hydrant, it's like some signs, and that catch basin or drop inlet. Also got this Cogo point. We can go ahead and move it to miscellaneous along with that tie piece there. Now notice in the properties bar I don't have my layer option in here anymore. I can bring that back by going up here and sneaking in there. Ah, we missed that one. Gonna hit this same thing here. We've got those in our general drawing set. We don't need those to plot because we will provide the surveyor's signed sealed document as the OG, which will include that information, but in our design set, those are things we don't need to see. So I just moved them to the miscellaneous layer for reference purposes only. Let's get in here and figure these out. So what you'll want to do is come over to the properties bar when you have one selected, and then we're gonna go down and dig into the style. Default. So these styles were not manually selected for each, but it was done with a default style for groups. And we can find that over here on the TOOLSPACE. If we really want to dive into that, remember you can toggle TOOLSPACE on and off right here on the Home tab. We're going to go to the settings. We've already got point styles expanded here. We can go ahead and guess hydrant. It's the existing fire hydrant over there. GW is the guy wire here. So we can check these out by right clicking and hitting edit. Oh, cool. Use AutoCAD block symbol for marker. GW. So GW is the AutoCAD block we're looking to edit. And we can just zoom through, check some of these. Existing hydrant. That. Power pole. Edit. Where are we at? Utility pole. Cool. I think we can figure most of these out. And the quick way I'm going to check to edit these will be typing in insert. It's going to bring this up. We'll go to the current drawing. There's existing hydrant. That's the first one I see. Just, we got it dropped in here. We're going to hit block editor. Look at that. All of that's on 0. Perfect. I'm going to check one more and then I'll assume the rest are safe. I deleted it though, just to be sure it is gone. Here's guy wire. Check that one. Block editor. Look at that. All 0. Dang, these guys are good. It's not always the case. So now that we know these are safely nested blocks, I'm going to move all of these to their correct layer now. So the storm structure for that catch basin. We got these signs here. We grab them all with a select similar. B sign. Grandio. Let's get these power poles and the guy wires. Cool, it grouped them together. I want them on the same layer anyway. V util electric overhead. Yeah, all right. Now we got these water fitting pieces or valves. They're going to be underground, so I'm going to put them on a separate layer from the rest of it. V water. I'm going to do fitting for that. And then that other one, V water structure fire. Perfect. Let's see what other lines we have in here. That's a poly line. It looks like it could be the center line, but this does too. So road, those are both brake lines. I'm gonna do survey mesh for those. And then I'm gonna take this center line and put it on V road center for topo here. Just gonna move that to no display. See what we have left here. This was a pipe, a storm pipe. The inner piece of it though. We already moved the outer walls. Got some manholes here. Select similar. V sanitary sewer dash structure. Now, what's left here? Something right here, a circle. Existing building. Let's go V dash building outline. See if there's anything else. Nothing else can be seen now. So let's LAYON thaw. We've got everything that we want to copy over now. Perfecto. Now we put the surface on no display, so we won't copy it over. Everything we're going to copy here, there's going to be no issues with using the old COPYBASE command. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the Civil3D icon over here, hit new. That's going to bring up my template options. Again, we're going to dip to the Dropbox because that's more up to date than what I have stored on my local bit here. DWT, bringing it to the existing, open that up. And all I'm gonna do is take this, select everything in it, go both ways. Type in COPYBASE 0, 0, 0. Uh-oh, an error occurred. So COPYBASE 0, 0, 0, enter. Now let's PASTECLIP it over here. Look at that. Everything's here. One last thing to clean this up. Let's make sure our polylines. We want number one, line type scale to be 1 on everything. And then we're gonna turn the generation on. We want the color to be by layer and the line type to be by layer, which it is. So that's good. Select everything again since I just accidentally deselected. Check everything else. Circle. Everything's by layer on layer 2 that can be. Same thing here. Check the line type, the plot style. Those are things we want to be by layer. Don't need to worry about the Cogo points for that. Polylines we already got. Remember the checkpoints. LT scale, plot style, line weight, transparency, all those should be by layer. Line type generation on. Then we got something looking pretty clean. Now to get the topography in here, we're going to use the data reference so that we don't have anything mess up in the transition. So we're going to pull that from the unadulterated file. First I need to open that one. And it says it's already in use. We don't want to open the copy, it's the original I want to open. So now let's go over here and open that survey original so we can create a data reference for the topo. I don't know if you were paying attention earlier, but something we did in the process messed up the topo lines a little bit first. So that is why we do the data reference rather than trying to transition it. So I will set the working folder. We're going to go to my New Way Designs lessons here. This is the working folder. And then we'll set the project folder, survey cleanup. That's what I want. Perfect. And then we're going to go back to the TOOLSPACE here, create data shortcuts. Okay, it's telling us we have to associate it. Let's associate project current drawing. Cool. Now we can do it. So create the EG survey reference. We have that reference now. We can save this, close it, and over here we can create reference. And then we're going to pull it to our style. Existing 1 and 5, hit OK, hit OK. Now we got topography. If you want to get some labels in there, we do have a style. Easiest way is to just label up the majors really quickly. So use a major. Then we'll zoom through in a couple of places, get some labels on there. Let's change the default style. Let's turn minors to off. Existing style, existing. Don't want to display the line. We got labels there for the topography. All right. Now it's time to save this drawing and it's ready to be our C-EX. Now this CEX file is what we're going to use to XREF in all of our drawings for the background information. Let's give you a little before and after side by side. Before cleanup and after cleanup. Fantastic, isn't it? Let's recap on how we got there. First we had the unadulterated survey file. We made a copy of that, and with that copy, we opened it up and began our editing process. One of the first things we did is turned all the layers on, thawed everything, unisolated just to make sure we weren't missing anything. And then we went on to bring in our template through the Manage tab, and then slowly began moving the simple objects like polylines by selecting similar in groups and moving them to our layers, which were frozen ahead of time. That way, like a checklist, as we move these things to our layers, they checked off, as in disappeared, and we could see our progress step by step. But after we finished the simple things, it went on to dealing with the Civil 3D objects. We got those Cogo points, and nested within those Cogo points was blocks. So we had to check the blocks, and for the blocks, we make sure everything's on layer 0. Once we had those taken care of, there was a surface to deal with. And somewhere in the process, moving things around, the surface got messed up, which is why we kept the original survey file, and we created a data reference from that to bring into our brand new drawing. But once we had the drawing cleaned up enough, we turned everything back on, except for the surface, which we turned to no display, and we just used the command COPYBASE to copy that into a blank drawing with our existing template as the starting point. And that got rid of all of the other surveyors layers that we no longer need, among many styles and other things that could have been cluttering up the drawing. But hopefully you found this survey cleanup lesson helpful. Know there's a lot of specific tips that may be catered more to my folks, but there's plenty of general stuff in here. And if you like our template, I'm willing to share that, so you can always reach out to me, will@nwdpllc.com. That'll be in the comments section as well, or the description rather. So, see you guys next time.